And we're live.
Hi.
Hey.
Oh, it's so good to be live again. All right, it's especially amazing to have some amazing new people, and I would say we would just start with getting to know each other a little bit. So maybe we'll go that way, introducing ourselves, maybe share your socials real quick and what you're reading today. Melanie?
Hi, I'm Melanie from Completely Melanie. That's the name of my channel. My Instagram is completely_Melanie. My Twitter is completely Mel. I am reading A Tragic Kind of Wonderful by Eric Lindstrom today. I'm like almost halfway through it, so I need to get through this today. And I'm also in the midst of a 24 and 48 hour readathon that I'm doing, and I've only gotten like 9.5 hours down, so I have lots to do.
Awesome. I've never heard of that one, actually, so I'm interested in learning some new books from you guys because I'm always looking to up my TBR. Hi guys, my name's Steph from the channel Coffee Over Apples. Currently today I'm going to be working on Warbreaker because I am co-hosting a Brandon Sanderson Cosmere year-long read-along, and this is our monthly pick. This is my first Brandon Sanderson. But so on my channel Coffee Over Apples, I run 2 book clubs. So I do a sci-fi book club, I do a manga book club. I also do speed drawings when I read a 5-star book, and I do a cooking video when I read a 1-star book. And so there's always TBR games and shenanigans and TBR YouTube games, booktube games. So if you guys want to check that out. And that's me. So I guess I will pass it down to Rhiannon.
Hi, I'm Rhiannon. I'm from the channel Welsh Reader. I feel like I don't have a lot to say because I didn't really prepare anything. I'm at Welsh Reader on all socials, so be sure to check me out there. Today, I'm not sure which book I want to read. I have These Violent Delights and Throne of Glass. I have started both. I feel like I'm more in the mood for this because it's a really fast read, but I'm not too sure yet. On my channel, I mainly read fantasy books, and my one true love is J.R.R. Tolkien, and I love all of his books. So, yeah, if you feel like checking out a fantasy booktuber, then I'm your girl. And then I'll pass it. Which way is it? That way.
This way. My camera's flipped. Hi, I'm Mo from Paperback Mo. All my social media is the same, Paperback Mo. And today I'm reading Carve the Mark. I'm about 3/4 of the way through it now. I don't know if I'm enjoying it, but I'm not hating it. And I think I will read the sequel. But yeah, let's see what happens.
I've heard a few mixed things about that as well, to be fair.
I've read the reviews. I always read the reviews first. And I've read some mixed reviews. But I'm not... It's a bit difficult. It's a bit... Game of Thronesy, like there's loads of different families and they've got like different traditions and things, so I'm trying to get my head around that still, even though I'm 3/4 of the way through. So that's the only bit that I'm confused about. Otherwise it's not that bad, but I'm not loving it. Like it's not blowing me away, if you know what I mean.
Is there like a family tree or map or something that can...
No, the only map thing it's got in it is like this with all the planets and things on it.
Oh wow!
But the family tree thing would have helped. Yeah, it's basically a solar system.
All right, so I will be reading The Long Way to a Small and Angry Planet, which I'm reading to catch up with the Interstellar Book Club that Steph is also hosting. And so I'm super excited. I'm only a few chapters in. I wanted to read most of it today, and I'm this far. So this is how my reading has gone today. But I'm loving it so far. So super excited to start catching up with the book club.
I'm so excited that you're reading it because I gave that book 5 stars. It was so good.
I have a feeling it might become a 5 stars as well. Just reading The Poppy War.
I need to read that so badly.
How much more do you have? Because I feel like you should be getting closer to the end.
Yeah, I feel like I read it like 2-3 weeks now, and every live she's like, I'm still reading the Poppy War.
Yeah.
Yeah, and every time I want to know if you are enjoying it. I love the Poppy War. Have you guys read the Poppy War?
No, but I want to.
I want to. I have all the books. I know I want to sit down and, well, I thought I wanted to sit down and read them all, but then people have been saying that it's quite depressing and like you should probably take a break between them. So I don't know. But again, I don't want to start a new series at the minute because I've got so many series that I'm in the middle of and just are putting off finishing. So I kind of want to focus on that. But then again, I just want to read it because FOMO.
I feel you. I wouldn't call it depressing, but it does need some trigger warnings because it does get very graphic and it does have war as some part of the content. And well, there's pretty harsh and graphic stuff that happens in war times. So I wouldn't say depressing, but yes, to taking a break.
Yeah, I did start it. I started with the audiobook, and this was like 2 years ago, but I was stupid and I didn't realize that you had to download audiobooks to listen to them. So I used all my 4G on holiday and it ran out. And so I just never picked it up after that. So I've learnt my lesson. Download your audiobooks, definitely.
Yeah, I have multiple books that I'm trying to complete today. So if I happen to finish this one, I'm working on listening to the audiobook of Prodigy by Marie Lu. It's like the second in the Legend series. And I'm also doing like a buddy read of A Vow So Bold and Deadly, which is the third in the Cursebreaker series. And oh my gosh, I love that series so much. But I have like less than 50 pages, I think, to finish that book. And so I'm like, I gotta finish that today. And yeah, I'm obsessed with TBR games. So I'll definitely be checking out your stuff, Steph, because I do like a wheel of TBR on my channel. I do Have I Read It? And I also do like a Cards Against My TBR, like based on Cards Against Humanities.
I love that game.
And I end up with a ridiculously massive TBR, which is why this month I'm supposed to read 27 books. So,
wow.
Yeah, I'm trying to pack it in.
That's the downfall of TBR games is that like that happens to me too because my TBR game is based off a blackjack casino game. And like I always have my book club picks and all that stuff that I got to get to. And I'm always hoping before I start the game, like, please fit these prompts. I need these prompts. And then it ends up being like 15 to 20 books.
Oh, yeah.
Mine's too bad because I do a little bingo cage thing. So like each number has its own prompt. So I can kind of control how many spins I do. But like you say, if there's books that I need to read and I can't fit them on, then it sort of goes kind of crazy. But so far, it's not been too bad.
I love TBR games. I don't need a TBR game to have a ridiculous amount of books on my TBR. I'm enjoying my new format of just not making a game out of which book I'm picking, but reading the first sentence and predicting if just by hearing the first sentence what rating it is. And I'm considering potentially ranking after reading the first sentence the ones that I predict as a 5-star, that I have to read them first, so that the ones that I think are going to be lower stars, that I'll put them to the end because I'm never getting through my TBR. So,
Rihanna, have you watched Kaylani, or have you seen Kaylani Simply Me's channel?
I love her channel. She's so good.
She also does a bingo TBR as well.
Mm-hmm.
And poor thing, she has such a problem holding on to those balls. They go flying all over.
I was gonna say I filmed like the spinning clips before, so then I can like hold them and do what I want with them, because otherwise I feel like it'd be an absolute mess.
Oh, it's so much fun though. She's like, she spins and it comes out, and then next thing you know, it's gone, and she's just like chasing after the ball. It's funny. But yeah, she does we do a season-a-thon thing together, and she's a co-host for the readathon that I do called Seasonathon, and so we have like authors on our channel and stuff or on my channel with me and Kaylani and my friend Clint, the one who got me my little Tumblr.
I'm gonna stop now. Give me a sec.
So, the YouTube user M, I don't know how that shows and what that name means, but is reading the Starless Sea. I'm hoping that you're enjoying it. I think because of Mo, I'm not gonna read it. So I'm glad that I can blame you right here on a live.
Yeah. I really liked it though. I did like it. I gave it 3 stars. But it was only because there's some bits in it that I didn't get, but I think that's just me not getting it. And there were like time travel-y bits in it as well. And I never like quite understand time travel properly in books. I think if it's not done well, then it's really difficult. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, and those bits I didn't like so much, but there's another bit where it's kind of like a dream state or something. It was okay, but again, it went over my head. That's why I gave it 3 stars. But otherwise, it's quite nice. And there's not so much like loads of romance and stuff like that, because I hate romance. Oh, good.
I'm like, I don't really read romance, but if there's a little bit of romance, like a side romance story in a book, that's cool. But as the focus, I struggle. So,
Like, Mist and Fury is one of my favorite books, and that's like a lot of romance in it, but like it's focus. So like I'm the same, where like I will dive into a fantasy book, but if there's an unnecessary romance, I'm not bothered.
Yeah. Same.
Hi, Hope.
Hey, Sandy.
Hey.
Sandy's channel's great. You guys should check it out.
And I'm also debating on starting 9th House or Frostblood or Furyborn. I can't decide. Anybody want to help pick? I haven't read. I know of all of these 3, but I haven't read either one.
Not read any.
I own 2 of the 3, but haven't read any.
Am I the only one that's read one? I read Furyborn last year, and it's one of my favorite books. And I know that a lot of people didn't like it, and I get why, but I absolutely loved it. I still haven't carried on with the rest of the trilogy, though. But I plan to, eventually.
All of my ridiculously long TBR, so... Well, we have 1 vote for Furyborn then, I guess.
If you want to take that. Yeah, I'm so bad at like continuing on with series because there's so many new books coming out. I'm like, oh, I want to read this. Oh, I want to read this. And then, yeah, if there's like a gap of a year between books, I'm like, no.
Yeah.
So we have... Oh, you're reading it together?
No, I'm just rereading it. It's my first time rereading it since I first read it like years ago. And it's so funny because straight away I started rereading it and I was like, the writing is terrible. But it is one of those books where you can just fall into it and it's really like a fast-paced read where I can sit down and read a really good chunk of pages. And I just, it's just like trashy YA. I do love it.
So These Book Delights is currently about halfway through finale by Stephanie Garber. I don't think I have read the whole series. I just started it, and
I read the first 2 and never got around to reading finale. I have it. I pre-ordered it. I got it the day it came out, and it's just been sitting on my shelf since then.
Same.
We feel you, Belle. I just finished and submitted my last uni essay for a while, so I can finally read. That is so amazing.
Such a good feeling.
Yeah, it's the best feeling.
Somebody else who still needs to read finale, join the club. And then I'm reading To All the Boys I've Loved Before. Very fitting to
Valentine's Day.
On Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I guess we all should start moving it up on our TBR. I'm starting The House of Silk by Anthony Horowitz. it's like the last book from my TBR game that I need to tackle this month. Oh my gosh, the month isn't halfway over. It's your last book from your TBR game. How do you do that?
Congratulations.
Does your TBR game involve like 5 or less books?
Hi, Anna.
Bye.
I don't want to start a new book because of Court of Silver Flames out on Tuesday. So yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So should we start into our first sprint?
Yeah.
What are you guys thinking about half an hour?
Yeah.
For me, whatever.
It was a legal and ethical decision making in nursing essay. Oh my gosh, that sounds like a very
intense. But you did it. Congratulations.
Yeah. I'm near the end of the story and I need to know what happens. Okay, then let's get reading. So let's read for half an hour.
That answers the VR question. Short books.
All right. Happy reading. And we're back. And we are one person more. Hi, Mel.
Hello.
Hey.
You just want to introduce yourself real quick? We shared our socials and what we're reading today.
Sure. So my name's Mel, and I'm from a book friend named Mel. And what was the other one? Sorry.
What you're reading?
Just what we're reading. Awesome. Sorry. I'm reading The Lies of Loch Lamora by Scott Lynn, which I'm really, really enjoying. And yeah, it's great. So
I love that one.
Yeah, it's my partner's favorite book, so I'm excited to read it. And what do you guys?
How did everybody do? And maybe you want to repeat what you're reading. There's more people asking.
I read 21 pages of A Tragic Kind of Wonderful by Eric Lindstrom. And it's about a girl with bipolar disorder.
Hi, my name's Steph. I read 25 pages. I'm working on Warbreaker, which is part of the Cosby from Brandon Sanderson.
How are you liking it so far?
I am really liking it. I mean, one of my favorite series is Game of Thrones. So I don't read very often a lot of high fantasy, and this is kind of giving me those vibes. Just there hasn't been much action yet. I think I'm only like 115 pages in. And so far it's just very much magical world building. But as far as like the horror aspect of Game of Thrones, I'm not getting that here. So
I don't think the Sanderson universe is not as grimdark as Game of Thrones, I would say. I feel like it's, when you compare it to Game of Thrones, it's a little bit more...
The political aspects?
Yeah, some of them, and some of them are more about magical aspects, relationships, personalities, cultures, creatures. Whereas I feel like Game of Thrones is very human-based, different types of humans, and very grimdark about how cruel humans can be.
Are there like 15 million perspectives in that, like in Game of Thrones?
So far, I think I've gotten, what have we gotten? I think we've gotten about 4 or 5 perspectives. So there's probably going to be quite a few more. I think so.
I'll go. I'm rereading Throne of Glass. I just wanted a quick read for tonight's sprints, to be honest with you, because I haven't been reading much today. So, yeah, I got about 35 pages through, and I'm almost finished with it, actually. I've got like this pages left. So, yeah, almost there.
Mo?
I'm reading Carve the Mark. I can't remember how many pages I read because I forgot to check at the beginning where I was. But I think I read about 15 or 16 pages. I'm hoping to hopefully finish it tonight as well. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Nice.
I'm reading The Long Way to a Small and Angry Planet. I always look down on my phone to read the title because I cannot remember a long title like this. I just always mess it up. And the book is German from the library, and because I just could get it in a library in German. So I'm actually reading it with my eyes in German, and I'm at the same time listening to the audiobook in English. And it's so amazing to see how it's translated.
Wow.
So yeah, that's.
I think that would break my brain.
Yeah, that would.
Yeah,
that would definitely break my brain. I don't know how you do that.
You get used to it, to be honest. I was married to a man from the U.S., and at the time when he moved over to our to my house, my son didn't speak much English. So when these two talked, I became their translator. So I was sitting there translating while they were speaking, and at one point they were looking at me like, so what are your thoughts on it? I have no idea what you talked about. I'm just sitting here translating on the words and trying to translate them, so I can't process. And then bit by bit you start getting into the rhythm of immediately translating and getting it, and then all of a sudden I could do it.
I can do that
Wow.
Welsh and English. It's like people don't get it, but like there's something that I can just switch between them so
Yeah.
easily. So like you don't realize you're doing it, but like yeah, I'm not sure if I could read a book and listen to an audiobook.
You might.
Like, I'm not
You
sure.
might. I think when you're that fluent, does it sometimes happen to you that you don't remember what language you're currently speaking or listening to? Like, I would watch a movie and my son would come in and say, "Why are you watching something in German?" I'm like, "Oh, that's German. Why didn't I switch the language?" I totally don't realize what language I'm in sometimes. So I think, I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, I was going to say there's not a lot of Welsh books out there, so I don't have that problem.
I read 21 pages and it's so good. Glad you're enjoying it. Joined late but managed to read 22 pages of Washington Black by AEDT. I have no idea how to pronounce that. I don't think I've heard of that. You guys heard of that?
No.
Not, but I have things here. if you need
I think
some.
I'll have to look that up. Are you enjoying it? Is it good? Is it worth me looking it up?
I think I've heard of it. I can't remember where. Probably Kayla from like Books and Lala or something.
17
Fury
pages.
Born.
There's Big Fury Born.
Reborn.
Good.
I hope you like it now. If you don't, I'm so sorry.
And I was shocked when I saw 60 pages, and then I saw Still Reading Gemina, and some pages are very quick to read. Okay, with knowing what you read, 60 pages makes sense, but at first I got a little like, oh my god.
Gemini is really fun. That whole series is just so much fun.
I
I
just
haven't read them.
It's really cool.
I read the first book and never carried on again. I really liked
Fair
it.
enough.
Definitely will. I've got all of the books. I just need to actually sit down and like power through.
I'm a
My
bit.
little buddy read group is going to start reading them starting, I think, in April with Illumine.
You're gonna have a fun time. It's very fast paced.
Yeah.
I'm a bit turned off by the multimedia. Like I don't really know how to do that.
It's really cool.
So much fun. It's really cool.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Maybe I should give it a try.
Yeah, definitely. It's like it's not case files, is it? But it's like, yeah,
It's like correspondence, emails, messages.
yeah.
Interviews, transcripts.
Okay.
It does make sense once you
Once
have
you're
read
in it.
pages, you will see it's actually I really do like the format and I find it super interesting. I buddy read Illumine with somebody who listened to it on audiobook and I was like, I don't think that it translates well onto audiobook. If you do not see some of the pages, they wouldn't make sense to me.
Okay.
Because like obviously some of the pages you've got to read it and you're literally turning the book like this.
Oh wow.
That's actually really fun, but you don't have to read it, I guess. But yeah,
And there was one point relatively, I think, in the beginning to middle where there's a couple of pages just pictures of people. And when I was at that point, I had to take a breather and I was almost tearing up because those images were so impactful. And I was like, okay, how do you do that on audiobook?
Audio, yeah.
You don't.
I mean, I heard that the audio has a really great cast as well. I heard it was really good quality, but there's just some aspects to it, like you said, with the visuals, visual information. That like, how do you translate that?
Yeah.
I heard this was a good series to both physically read and listen to the audiobook at the same time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've heard people say that too. Yeah.
I can confirm that's true because I read most of my books with both media at the same time. So I've done that with Illumine as well. But it doesn't translate completely. So I would not leave the visual looking at the book out completely. So Hope read 25 pages. I'm loving this book already. The House of Silk is a Holmes and Watson adventure. So it's really atmospheric and fun. Ooh, it sounds
That's cool.
like a nice thing for a Sunday evening. Yes, it's so good. It's about a man who takes a slave boy away from his brother's plantation to save the boy's life. Oh, that sounds really interesting. Okay, I'll the first thing on the next sprint is I'm gonna go onto Goodreads and add it to my TBR. Melanie, is your camera pink? I think that's-
Actually, my camera is black, but this is just like a silicone protector cover thing for it. And yes, that's pink. And also, you're all on my vlog.
Hi.
Yes, I'm vlogging my 24 and 48 hours. So I was like, oh, I'm doing a live show. I'm going to vlog a little bit of that.
Nice.
I always want to, and then I never do.
It's like a super basic description. Well, it
was enough
was enough for me. Yeah. I'm listening to the audio and following along with the physical book. So that was about Gemini. Yeah. They complement each other so well. The visuals are lost a little in the audio, but the dialogue is a lot better. Yeah, I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
Illumina, you have to read and listen at the same time. It makes better sense that way.
Okay.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
Might try it.
Hmm.
Have any of you read His Dark Materials books?
No.
Which one?
His Dark Materials by Philip Pullman.
No. It's on my list.
I started reading it ages ago when I was younger, but I think I was too young. But is that the Amber Spyglass and all of
Yeah,
those?
I was just gonna say that's the series I would definitely listen to and read at the same time, because that's what I did. And the book is amazing. And I'd read the first book like years ago and gave it like 3 stars, and then I reread it in December and gave it 5 stars. Like, it's one of my new favorite series.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's got like a full cast and they act it out. So instead of like being like, oh, he said this or whatever, it's literally an actor just reading it. It's really like, oh, it's so good. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there in case anyone wanted it. Really, really good.
Sounds good. The audiobook to The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet is really good as well. It has some sound effects added to it, and that just makes for this amazing atmosphere while reading. It's not a full cast, but just the sound effects when you're reading about some like the spaceship moving, and you hear like whooshing and you hear beeping and all these kind of things. It's just so much fun.
Yeah.
I listened to an audiobook. I'm just trying to find what it was called, but it's the same thing. It had a full cast, but then it had all the atmospheric. It was more like a radio play, but it was it was an audio book, but it was more like a radio play. It was an Australian book, and now I can't remember what it was called, and I can't find it. But when I do, I'll tell you what it was.
Yeah.
Any of you looked into the graphic audiobooks? I've read a couple of them, but they are so expensive. It's like I could buy a whole library for one book.
What is a graphic audiobook?
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
They are marketed as it's a movie in your mind. It's a full cast. It's with effects, and the cast is not only reading it, it's sometimes playing it out a little bit. It's in between having it sound like a play and an audiobook. So they would change things like if the book would say that the character would sigh, they don't read that the character sighs, you hear the character sigh. And it's very atmospheric. It's a lot of fun listening to them, but they are way too expensive. I can just look it up. I have like the Brandon Sanderson books, but they're enjoyable, but they're overpriced.
Is it like listening to a movie?
A little bit, yes. You do have a narrator that is explaining what's going on, so it is a little bit more like an audiobook than a movie, but it is a little bit like a movie, yeah. So graphic audio, a movie, it is called A Movie in Your Mind, but so let me see.
I listened to one similar to that. It was actually of the Crucible, and it was like the BBC's version or something, and it had the full cast and all of the different sounds and everything. But it was hard. It was hard for me to follow that, like what was going on. For me, it's easier in like book form, where like the narrator just narrating the story out.
I think it depends on the book as well, like how well it lends itself to that. So the one that I was saying is the Invisible Women's Society by Nikki Gemmell, and it's about these 4 women who are like best friends. They've been best friends for years, and they come from a small town in outback Australia, and they have to travel back to that small town for some reason, and it's about them trying to get there, and then they get into trouble and all sorts of stuff. But it's really it's kind of book that lends itself well to that kind of play almost, like, yeah, and it's full cast, so it was really, really good. It was really fun. And then I listened recently to the BBC radio show. I didn't mean to. I thought I was downloading an audiobook, but it turns out it was the BBC radio show of Good Omens. And that was really, really good. But I've read Good Omens multiple times, so it was almost like I didn't really need to pay that much attention. So I don't know if it would make a difference if it was the first time reading it.
I just looked up the price for the Warbreaker book that Steph is currently reading. So if you want to get that as a graphic audiobook, you would have to pay $62.
Wow.
And like a 1,000 pages book.
That sounds a little...
It's a lot. They are overpriced, but they are fun to listen to, but they are sadly overpriced.
Is that $62 American dollars or? Yeah, so for me that would be like $90.
Yeah, I mean, I have no understanding of, like, I could translate how, and I did for the first unboxings on my channel for the first couple of years, translate American dollars into Canadian dollars and into Australian dollars, but what that never takes into account is how much money does that mean? I mean, even if I can translate with the exchange rate, if your country has a different type of earning structure, this $90 might actually be a lot less than $60 in the US if you would have high earning.
Our base income is, I think, quite a bit higher, so I think it would probably work out realistically, but it still sounds like a lot to spend on an audiobook.
It is.
Yeah.
It's way too much for one book.
Yeah.
But I mean, they are fun, but too expensive. The Gemini audiobook also has sound effects, and the cast does a little voice acting too. They even act out the emojis.
That's cute.
Yeah, I think that sometimes it didn't work well and sometimes it did, but it's fun. It's fun. Should we get into another sprint? We've been chatting for a while, and I'm eager to continue because it's so good.
Sounds good.
I do really want to read that.
You should. It's
Definitely
a lot of fun.
I've heard so many good things about it, but I'm like I don't mind sci-fi, but it's not something I read a lot of, so I'm always scared diving into it just in case. And I know people love that book, so I'm like, oh, do I want the one person that doesn't like that?
it's very different from every other sci-fi that I've read, though. Like, it's very light slice of life. It's very happy. It's very hopeful. So, I mean, I feel like most other sci-fi that I've read has some dark aspects to that, and this is like...
Yeah. The most recent one I've read is Starsight by Brandon Sanderson, and I enjoyed that one. I did love that, so I'm trying to get into more sci-fi, but yeah, it's like...
I think it depends on which aspects of sci-fi are scary to you. I think with Skyward and Starsight, you have a human base, and the alien is kind of far away still. It's not something that is embraced and you have to wrap your head around. And in here we are starting with different kinds of species. So you are right away in different kinds of species. There's a little bit of science-y talk in the very beginning. So I'm 100 pages in, and the whole there's a few things that are explained how some of the tech works. And if either of these scare you, you should ease in. But yeah, I think in Skyward you do have the tech aspect as well. They explain how the ships work and this kind of stuff. So
yeah.
But it doesn't feel like it's as gigantic or as complex as others. Yet it feels wholesome, but focusing in on a smaller aspect of the universe first.
Okay, I'm gonna add it. Note of that.
And you should join the book club Discord where it's discussed.
Ooh, yeah,
Is that you, Steph? Yeah.
Yeah, it's on my channel. So it's the Interstellar Book Club. So we're reading the third book this month, and then we're reading the fourth book, which is supposed to be released in the UK on Tuesday. We're reading that next month. So we put in our pre-orders online for that.
Yeah, I'm catching up. I'm reading the first text this month, and then the third and fourth next month.
Yeah, we did the first two last month. So yeah, and on our Discord channel, we have some other channels for like Star Wars, Star Trek, other science stuff. We plan on doing like an advanced series for like Leviathan Wakes reading later on this year. And we also have like a research channel for people just doing homework, like science. Help each other with homework and stuff.
Oh, cool.
It's a good time.
That sounds amazing.
It's really good.
So what are your favorite genres before we head into our next sprint?
I don't really know if I have a favorite genre. I like such a variety of stuff. Like I like some nonfiction. I love retellings. Like I really love retellings.
Love retelling.
I love I like contemporary. I like thrillers. I like fantasy, some fantasy. I'm not one for a lot of really high fantasy. Like I read the first 3 books of Game of Thrones, and that was just not one for me. But I get lost in the too many perspectives. It's just, I'm like, who is it? What? Huh?
Like small characters that have perspectives in Game of Thrones as well, isn't there? Like one, like I know the A Feast for Crows that I started recently. It's like the first chapter is one you've never heard of before.
Yeah.
Be in it again. It's just that one little chapter of their perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, you have your main, and then there's suddenly like, who is this person again? Yeah, and you never hear. Yeah.
I'm reading Feast of Crows right now too, and I loved that. I loved that bit in the beginning. I was like,
I've literally just like a chapter in, but I think I need to reread that because it was like I think it was in between one of my lectures, and I was like, well, I'll read it quickly, and I'm like, no, you cannot read this quickly.
You gotta savor it. Yeah.
I guess to go around. So I read a lot of horror, high fantasy. So I love multiple perspectives. I love like psychological thrillers, anything dark, weird fiction, stuff like that. I want it to scar me. If it scars me, it gets 5 stars. That's my rating.
Have you read The Wives by Taryn Fisher?
What is it?
The Wives by Taryn Fisher.
That is on my TBR. I need to get to that eventually.
That was a 5-star, mess you up in the head,
Love
psychological thriller. And
Okay.
The Silent Patient. Have you read that?
That's also on my TBR.
Also a 5-star, really good thriller.
Nice.
I think you'll like.
Okay, I'll go next. I mainly read fantasy and high fantasy. Like I said earlier, my favorite author is J.R.R. Tolkien, so I do love that sort of thing. But I also love murder mysteries, Agatha Christie type of things, and I do also love retellings.
I wanted to ask you, did you read The Wheel of Time yet?
No. I'm currently reading Robin Hobb, so I'm in like the 3rd trilogy of Robin Hobb's world at the minute. So I've been reading that like all through last year, and I feel like I won't be done until like 2022. It's like one book every 2 months for like a read along.
Yeah.
And I love them. Like I genuinely love them so much. But I feel like I can only handle one very high fantasy at a time. Otherwise, I'm just like
Totally get that.
Yeah.
I'm super excited to see. I would love to see how you like The Wheel of Time, especially the first one, because it's leaning so hard and it's giving so much homage to Lord of the Rings. It's so very clear, and I've started annotating the first one because it's going around as a traveling book, and all all the green markers, I don't know if you can see that. The green ones are where there's comparisons between Tolkien and Jordan, and where it's either an homage or where it's a comparison because Tolkien was a World War veteran and then Jordan was a Vietnam veteran. So they have very different worldviews and kind of war experiences of going into this. And so, yeah, I'm really interested.
Wow. Yeah, you think.
Want to read
that now. I've got the Silmarillion here. I started it the other day and like started annotating it, but like it's quite intense and I don't want to be reading it on sprints. But yeah, The Eye of the World is something I always wanted to read, but I'm like, one, it's massive, plus it's got like 12 books, something like that in it. It's like such a long series.
14.
Is it 14? Wow, okay.
Yeah.
I definitely want to eventually, but like maybe after Robin Hood. I've still got
Fair enough.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I did the Mistborn trilogy, and I've only read the first book, so I definitely need to carry on with Sanderson as well.
We're actually reading Mistborn next month. I think we're doing book 1 March, and then 2, and then 3, 1 for each of the months.
Have you got to read every single book at the minute?
What? What was
For Sanderson, yes.
No, I was going to say, like, every book we've mentioned today, you're like, I've got to read along to that. And I'm like,
basically, this is the case. My year is like fully booked, and it's only February. It's just.
I'll definitely join if it's going on because I definitely need to read these, so that would be really helpful.
Yeah. Mo, what's your favorite genre?
My favorites are probably YA. I read a lot of YA. I love retellings as well. If there's an author called Christina Henry, and she writes loads of retellings. I love her. I don't know if any of you have read Lost Boy, which is a retelling of Peter Pan. I love Peter Pan anyway.
That was so
loved Lost. Yeah, it was so good. It was so good. And I've recently just read The Girl in Red, which is a retelling of Little Red Riding Hood. That's pretty cool too. So yeah, I love YA and retellings.
Did you read Nora and Kettle? It's a
Read what?
Nora and Kettle. It's a Peter Pan retelling, and it was a lot more to process than I thought I expected. Just look it up. It was good, but I did not expect it to hit so hard. I can't summarize it. I'm trying to think about how to summarize it, but yeah, it is a Peter Pan retelling, but it's more focusing on some of the background, and you have domestic violence in there and those kind of things, giving Wendy a reason having to go, kind of thing. Totally recommend.
I was going to say, I know Aidan Thomas is bringing out a Peter Pan retelling in March, I think. I've pre-ordered it, but it's like, like a dark Peter Pan retelling, I think. He's the author of Cemetery Boys. Anyone?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I literally stumbled upon it. But that sounds really good. I've just looked it up again now. Yeah, if anyone's...
What's that one called?
Did I not say what it was called? Sorry. It's called, Lost in the Neverwoods.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look.
Can you say that again? Sorry. Lost in
the Neverwoods.
Lost in the Neverwoods. You've got someone on the chat, Mo, asking for that author that you mentioned that does a lot of retellings.
Christina Henry.
So good.
I don't know if I've got her somewhere here.
I read the first book in her Alice trilogy as well. That's really good. It's really like...
I'm going to read those next.
Yeah, it's really like messed up, but like really good.
Mo, have you read Heartless?
Oh, that is one of my favorite
Heartless, is that the Queen?
Yes, Queen of Hearts. Retelling.
Yeah, I've seen that, but I haven't read that. Oh, that's a nice cover.
It's probably one of my favorites.
Wait for this, guys. Literally, it is.
Yeah, oh yeah, naked. It is gorgeous.
Oh wow!
Nice.
It looks like yeah, it's so pretty.
It's before Alice, and it's like how the Queen of Hearts became how she is.
I love the concept.
So
it's not my favorite, but honestly, I have very, very high expectations when it comes to villain backstories, and I want a villain backstory to have a villain who already is kind of a villain, and does not get traumatized by an event like, oh my God, I was in love and he didn't like me, and
Oh
now I'm a
yeah.
villain. This kind of tropey thing, or oh my God, I lost my parents, now I'm a villain.
Quite like that, from what I remember.
No, not quite like that.
I got that vibe from this. Yeah.
This was the first ever audiobook that I listened to, and I listened to it on YouTube because I didn't know that Audible was a thing. So I was literally coming home and I was like sitting in my room for hours just listening to this blank screen. Oh, I had such a good time.
I get that people enjoy it, but I have too high expectations for villain backstories, I think. Mel, what are your favorite genres?
Fine.
Definitely fantasy. I like anything fantasy, from like high fantasy to magical realism. Yeah, so anything there. Although having said that, I'm constantly watching BookTube and being like, oh my God, I've never heard of that person. How did that happen? So yeah. But I do really like also some mysteries and sort of that domestic mystery type, like Leanne Moriarty does. Like it's more of a contemporary, but there's like a little bit of a mystery, what's going on kind of idea in the background as well.
Yeah. I enjoy fantasy. I did read a lot of YA fantasy, and I'm kind of feel like I'm taking a break because I am so into the high fantasy complex worlds, the Cosmere universe, the Wheel of Time. They're so epic. They're so big. When you then go back reading a YA fantasy, it just feels like it's not going far enough. It's not getting there. So I'm kind of taking a back. I do enjoy sci-fi a lot. Haven't read near enough sci-fi, so I'm trying to get more sci-fi under my belt. And I have phases where I enjoy certain historical fiction when I'm interested in a certain area and time. But so the last year, maybe halfway this year still, I'm very interested in like the 1850s, around that time in the US. So from Gold Rush to Civil War and everything. There's so many good books around that time and era. So I do enjoy historical fiction, but it's very picky which ones, not everything. All like Asian historical fiction as well. The Poppy War, loved it as well. It's like between fantasy and historical fiction. This mix is amazing, mixing historical fiction and fantasy. All right, so let's go into how long of a reading sprint do you want to do? Do you want to do 30 again? Do you want to go longer, shorter?
I don't mind.
Whatever. I don't mind either.
I have about 42 minutes left that I can be here, so
So 42 minutes it is.
So let's say reading until 50, and then we have 10 minutes to still chat before Melanie has to go. And I think you have to go as well soon, right, Rhiannon?
Yeah, I was just gonna see how I felt because I know I've got like a heavy day tomorrow, just of like work and things to get done. But we'll see how I am after the sprint. I'm feeling good at the minute, so.
Awesome. Okay, then let's read to 50. Happy reading. And we're back.
Hi.
How have you done?
Let's see. I got like 11 pages of this, but then I also at some point stopped and was listening to my audiobook, and then I went back to this because I had to get up and get me another drink because I need caffeine. I'm so tired.
But you're listening to something else on the audiobook. It's not the same book?
No, I was going back and forth between this and the audiobook for Prodigy. But I still have like 13 and a half hours left of my 24-hour and 48 hours. I was like, there's not even that many hours left in today.
Can you do it on like, does it count then, if you listen to the audiobook on twice speed, does it count as twice as much time for the
No.
No. Okay, so how did everybody else do?
I read about 17. I read about 17 pages this time. But the font's so small.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish this actually tonight.
I feel that. I did about 15 pages, but I was stopping and like taking notes along the way, trying to keep track.
That takes so much time, but it's so worth it if you're doing it. So that's good.
I read about 40 pages, and it's getting into all the action now, so I don't want to stop. I was just like this, like, ooh.
I get that. Mel?
I read about 25 pages. Yeah. Sorry, I can't now sit forward because I have a different cat than the one that I started the session with on my lap.
And you can't move the cat.
No, obviously not. No.
No, cats are not doing that. Yeah, I read 45 pages, but it might be a little bit deceiving because listening on the audiobook in English, it's usually, the English version is usually less pages than the German version, and I'm listening to the audiobook on 2.5 speed. And so I think it's a little bit less pages in the English version, but yeah, 45 in the German book. And it's so good. I think I'm probably not going to do anything aside from reading until I'm done.
Wow.
So we have this amazing comment. I did have to chuckle when I read in the middle of the sprint. I was like, "Don't distract me."
No.
Okay.
Well, thanks for that, chuckle. And Barbara is building forests again, and I still am not using the app to build forests. I'm sorry. We had that on the last live with Completely Melanie. We were talking about using the focus apps where you build a forest, and she was talking about, so Barbara was talking about how this would translate to planting real trees. And I was like, okay, I do need to look into it, but it's not for me.
Wait, what is the app?
It's like you it locks your phone or whatever. You know, you set a timer and you can see like you're growing trees and stuff, and then the app actually, the company or whatever, they plant trees in response, like to equal the trees you're growing.
I feel bad now because I always do trees because I get distracted. Oh.
Yeah, it's not for everyone, I guess, but I feel bad when Barbara mentions it, and I'm like, I'm not doing this. Another 18 pages of Star. Let's see. Good. 16 pages done, Barbara. Everybody's making great progress. 24 pages. Awesome. Listen to 3.5 chapters. Yeah, depending on the chapters, that can be a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I read like not even 2 chapters, and it's 45 pages.
Oh,
Long
wow.
chapters right now.
And I only have like 16 minutes left on Prodigy. So I'm very close to finishing it.
Nice.
I'll finish it on my way to the grocery store because not only is it Valentine's, but it's also my wedding anniversary today. That's why I have to leave early. I have to go to the store and buy what I need for the special anniversary dinner tonight.
Oh, that's
Get it all fixed before my hubby gets home.
That's so nice. I love it.
What time is it where you are, Melanie?
It's almost 5 p.m. And he gets home from work at 7, so that'll give me like 2 hours to go to the store, get everything I need, and come home and start cooking it.
Yep. Yes, happy anniversary.
Thank you. Yeah. We've only been married forever.
Which is the good kind, right?
Yeah, 23 years.
Wow.
Congratulations.
How is that even possible? You must have been a baby.
Actually, when we got married, I had to have my mom sign a permission slip. Because when we got married, I was actually 17.
Wow.
And it was just a couple of months before I turned 18. So my mom actually had to sign saying I had permission to get married. So when I say she had to give me a permission slip, that's for real. Yeah. We were babies
today. I'm good with the Romans now, but I pulled my dose of Romans for today. That's awesome.
Yes, I always say we were young, dumb, and in love, and it's a good thing we still like each other.
Well, I'm just for a sec because I need to find my charger, so give me a sec. I don't want to have you have to look at me.
And then Three Oaks only read to page 26. I had to feed dog and start dinner. First of all, having a dog that is not being fed is probably not a good idea. So I think that's a good excuse. And what do you mean only read to page 26? You're making progress. That's all that counts, right?
Absolutely.
Also, Furyborn is like quite hard to get into because you're following 2 different timelines as well. So like, don't beat yourself up about reading it slowly. I feel like you definitely need to just sort of wrap your head around it to get off, like to start off with. So.
Yeah, with this type of book, especially in the beginning, right? I always read the first couple of pages in a new fantasy so slowly, because you need to start understanding the world and the characters. And so, 26 pages in Furyborn will probably take me an hour to read, the first 26 pages. And then the last 26 pages will probably take me like 10 minutes.
Well, I was with Robin Hobb. I remember I listened to the audiobook of one of the first books in a new trilogy, and I'd listened to about an hour of it, and I got home and I was so confused, and then I had to go back and reread the physical book, and then I realized that it was like, when there's a break in the middle of the chapter and someone else starts, someone else, so you wouldn't know, and so that's why I was confused, because I was like, wait, what? Like, following a load of different people, so then obviously I had to go back and reread it. I can listen to the audiobook now, but definitely not at the start when you have to try and like just get into the world and see where it fits in and all of this. So
I assume that was the Live Ship Trader trilogy. Yeah, because there's so much going on in those books that it's like
it was exactly. It was the first one and I was like, I am just completely lost. So I had to like reread the whole thing.
And especially if you've already read the Farseer trilogy and you're expecting Fitz, and then you're like, what? Who the hell are these people?
Who's Kenneth? Yeah, definitely.
So, Melanie, I think you are leaving us. Do we want to talk about real quick? So we just want to put up the reminder tomorrow on your channel, Reading Sprints. It's 9 p.m. CET. It's 3 p.m. EST.
Correct.
I don't know the other time zones. The UK would be 8 p.m., but I don't know any other time zones.
The UK would be sorry. When would you be in the UK?
The UK would be 8 p.m.
For some reason I can figure out from UK to Australia, but anything else I'm like, no
It's the
idea.
same time that you started today. So you joined when? 7:30 a.m.
Yeah.
So 7 a.m.
AM. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize it was that early.
Yeah, it's like 9
Forget
o'clock.
that those exist.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
9 o'clock.
and we'll go probably for a pretty good chunk of time tomorrow.
We tend to, yes, and I love it.
Yeah, we do the 15th on my channel, and then the last day of the month on her channel.
Yeah, and then 6-7 hours is not a problem. All right, see you tomorrow, Melanie.
Bye. It was nice to meet all of you.
Yeah.
Bye.
So I got a message from a friend of mine who I told I would go and pick her up in town because she's doing a thing with her car. And she's running an hour early, so I have to go in about half an hour myself.
That's fine. This real quick. So down in the description box is Completely Melanie's channel, the link to Completely Melanie's channel, and that's her channel where the sprints will be tomorrow. And then I think I'm always hesitating because I think that I'm still pronouncing your name completely wrong, even though I have been listening to it, but I'm not even sure if I can pronounce it right. Can you just say your name again, please?
I'm guessing you're talking to me.
Yes, I am.
I say my name very Welsh, so I'll say it how I say it, and that's Rhiannon. But people do call me Rhiannon, so whatever suits.
So the first is that more of a h?
Yeah.
So Rhiannon?
Yeah.
I'm gonna get there.
It's okay. I always say it at the start of my video, but I feel like I say it so fast as well that it just you can't quite hear how to say it. But yeah.
And especially if it's sounds that are not native in your language, you need to be corrected by the person hearing it because I don't hear the difference. But you would, and you're like, no, that's completely wrong.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. So you have sprints as well. I don't want to not mention that, right? You're doing sprints.
I'm doing sprints from 7 p.m. UK time tomorrow night. I don't know how long they'll go on for. They're usually until about 10 o'clock. So if anyone wants to join for an hour sprint before yours, you're more than welcome to. And I'll probably, when I finish my sprints, I'll probably be on yours anyway, because once I start reading with sprints, I feel like I'm in like a really good group. So if anyone wants to an hour before, I'll be sprinting, but yeah.
I'll probably 6 in the morning, so probably not. Sorry.
No. Don't worry.
So Barbara is asking, how many books is too many books to have on your nightstand? I have 30. So I personally don't have any books on my nightstand because I carry my books everywhere. So I usually have between 1 and 6 books that I'm reading at a time, but I always have them where I'm at, so I don't leave any on my nightstand. For me, the answer would be there's no number that would be too many. It's too many when you feel like it's too many for any reason, but not because of a number.
Yeah.
How many do you guys have on your nightstand, if you have any?
Well, I don't have a nightstand, but I usually I carry my Kindle, and then I always have about a handful of books, maybe like 4 or 5 books that I'm working on at a time, and like manga or comic books. So I'll just kind of like bring the stack with me to bed and say, okay, what do I feel like working on right now? And just kind of go from there.
Yeah, I'm the same. I always have like one book on the floor by my bed because like I'll read and then I just put it down. And then I've also had a copy of the Odyssey in the drawer of my nightstand for about a year, which I've started and then I've just forgotten about. And every so often I look at it and I'm like, oh, I need to read you. And then I do that. So I do have one there constantly. It's one I've just forgotten about. But yeah.
Am I the only one who doesn't have a nightstand? Is that strange?
It's like a bedside table for me. I wouldn't call it a nightstand.
Yeah, I'd call it a bedside table as well.
Yeah, it's got like a little cabinet thing.
I think it's just the way that my room is situated because my room is a bit narrow. So I don't have any tables. I have like potted plants, but there's no like tables. So I just kind of bring it to bed. And then when I'm done, I just dump it on the floor.
I have a bedside table and I still put stuff on the floor, so it's fine.
I do have a nightstand bedside table where some things permanently live, but my book also does not touch the floor. My book goes on the other side of my bed, just replacing a partner. So
I don't have books on my nightstand. Well, I have other like stuff. I have my lamp and I have like my brushes and so I don't have room for books. But I don't tend to read in bed very often anyway.
If I go to bed, I like normally just watch YouTube or something on my phone just to like get me to fall asleep, which sounds weird because you think reading would make you want to fall asleep. But like I need to pay attention, otherwise I'll just like sleep over so much and then I have to go back and read it. So it's a bit pointless.
I'm the same. I fall asleep to watching or listening to like podcasts or something. Something about hearing a voice.
But it's going. Yeah, no, I'm the same. But I listen to like true crime podcasts, which is a bit weird. Like
you fall asleep with murderers in your brain.
It's like I can't deal with horror films and stuff. My boyfriend was like, "Yeah, but you can fall asleep listening to true crime, which is worse." So that's how my mind works.
I agree with your partner. So I think I watch stuff also for falling asleep more. Sometimes, depending on the book, I do put on an audiobook to fall asleep. But I find it much easier to watch a series and find where I fell asleep in a series by reading the description of the episodes than finding in my book where I fell asleep on the audiobook. Even though I do like that most of the apps by now have this like sleep timer and you can go back quite easily to where you started the sleep timer, but that still doesn't tell me where I fell asleep. The Beach Bum Bookworm, I love the name. I agree these sprints have made me so productive. I did my wrap-up for January recently, and I read like 27 books in the month. Love them. Wow. I love the sprint. 27 books is still very far from what I'm reading, but congratulations.
Yeah, I could never read that many. I think my best month was like 15 books last month, and I couldn't remember what any of them were about. That's the thing. I feel like I don't like filming wrap-ups, so I haven't filmed one for a while because like I tend to read so much that I can't remember my thoughts on the ones that I read, which is really bad. Like I should probably remember what I've been reading.
That's why I started. I think it's called blog style. I started doing that 2 years ago when I realized that I'm just so bad at wrapping up books, but immediately after closing it, I have so many thoughts that I want to share, and if I have read 5 in between, those are gone. So I started doing that, and then I moved it completely to my vlogs. So I have all my wrap-ups in my vlogs, in my reading vlogs, and now I'm doing it vlog style again, and I just enjoy that so much because I just have my setup here. I just close the book, turn on the camera, put my thoughts in, and then I can take it off. What I really love about it is that when I then need to remind myself about something, when I was like, okay, why did I love that book again? Or when I read the sequel or whatever, I go back and watch my own wrap-ups so I know what I felt. And when I listen to that, I completely remember everything all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's so good. I do sort of give my thoughts in my vlogs, obviously. So like my thoughts are there. It's just not like one video where I'm going over everything. Which I don't know. I don't know. I need to figure it out because I just don't like filming wrap-ups for some reason. And yeah.
I agree. I haven't done a wrap-up in a while, just because like haven't found the time to really sit down and focus on all of the thoughts, like you said, like trying to be cohesive. But But something I do usually is I'll do a single video review or vlog for like a 5-star book or a really bad like a 1-star book. But I'm considering doing wrap-ups again, but using those exclusively for the 2 to 4-star range. And I figure if anyone wants to hear my thoughts on that, on anything else, then they can go to those like dedicated videos, you know, instead of reiterating everything that was already mentioned in the blog.
Yeah.
That's a good system too.
Sorry, I was going to say, I feel like it's hard as well, because if you've read so many books and you want to give a really good review, it's obviously going to take so much time.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like people aren't going to be that bothered about it. So, like, I don't know. It's just, I don't know if it's worth the effort of, like you said, sitting down, trying to get all your thoughts out in a cohesive way, and then people just not wanting to watch it anyway.
Right. I felt like that was my, like, even though I would put so much effort into my wrap-ups, those were some of my least performing videos.
Yeah.
Just because they would be so long. You know, you want to give the correct amount of time to justify your answers and your feelings and everything like that. So, you know, it's one of those, like, sometimes it can be better just to do them in shorter chunks. So trying to find a consistent way to chunk them out where I know people will be able to find exactly which book they're looking for, you know.
I think that those are very good points. I think for me it's in between. I do love wrap-ups in general when you're trying to be concise, and I know that I like to ramble and blab and whatever, so learning to be more concise with my thoughts is something that is challenging me for the better as well. If I then have a book where I feel like, okay, I need to rant or I need to rave about it, then I can do like a special one. But what I'm doing, because I am reading more than 5-6 books, and as you said, those wrap-ups get really long, I have started splitting my wrap-ups into part 1 and part 2. So actually my wrap-up part 1 for February, for the first half of February, will be coming live on my channel this Thursday, and then part 2 will be probably in the second week of March. So
I did. Sorry, carry on. Sorry.
I was just going to say I started doing the same thing, doing a mid-month and an end-of-month wrap-up, because I was the same. I was just talking so much. And it would be like my last full end-of-month wrap-up was an hour long. And I was like, I don't particularly like watching hour-long videos, so I don't want to make other people watch an hour-long videos. So, yeah, I've started splitting them. And it's much easier then as well, because then, like you said, you've only got you've got half the amount of books to remember, and yeah.
The only problem I had with that, because I did that in summer when I was reading quite a lot of books, but like I will read nothing at the start of the month, and then the last 2 weeks I'll be like, oh, I want to read everything, and then I'll sit down and read like 4 or 5 books, and I'm like, oh my god, why can't I space it out?
Well, nobody's keeping you from saying, well, if you usually on average read, let's say, 10 books a month, to say, okay, I'm going to do my first wrap-up whenever I have read 5, and then the second half, if it ends up being 8 or 9 because you have this rush at the end of the month and read more, that's fine, but you still have split them. And I do really love the new-ish function of having the chapters in videos. So if somebody comes to my video specifically for one review for one book that they want to have thoughts on, being able to jump to it much more quickly now. I love that. And I do use that if I see somebody's wrap-up. I'm like, okay, I don't want to hear anything about that book because I don't care about that genre, but I want to hear about this one and this one. Jumping to it is amazing.
Or if you don't want to, I was just going to say, if you don't want to hear the review of it as well, if you think it might be spoiled, you can just skip straight to the bits you want. I just did a wrap up where I read 5 books, and that's the most I've read in a month. And I only read one book at a time. I don't know if that's just because I'm a man and I can't multitask. But yeah, and that comment where somebody was like, they're reading 27 books in a month. That's probably my goal for the whole year.
Yeah.
Fine though. I'm still predicting that this month was not your highest number. You're going to read a lot more.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm going to predict that, yes. You just started Booktube, and it's so common that the reading behavior goes up when you're starting Booktube. And I don't think it's because you're making sacrifices or because you get pressured into it. I think you're just starting to read more. You make more of the choice of, I would say, the type of do I Netflix or do I read? And you tend to read more.
But you need a balance, because like I think what I learned last year is that like it's not healthy for me to be reading an excessive amount of books, because especially now that I'm on placement, so I've got a lot of things going on there, and sometimes afterwards I just want to sit down and like watch a film, chill, but in my head I'm like, oh, I need to be making videos, so I need to be reading. Like, no, take a step back, focus on what I actually want, and then I'm happy coming back to it. And I feel like definitely this year I've felt the pressure a lot less, because obviously last year I was like, oh my god, I really need to read 100 books, I need to get to it, whatever. But this year now I'm like, if I read it, I read it. If I don't, it doesn't. But
there's always tags, there's always challenges, there's always loads of different things that you can make for content.
Exactly.
That's true. No, I fully agree. It's a very important lesson to learn. And I mean, the only reason why you need to read is because you want to read and nothing else.
They're like high fantasies as well that are like 800 plus pages. Like, you know, if you feel bad reading one book, it's like you've read two anyway. So it's like it doesn't matter how many books you read. What you're reading.
Yeah.
So, as long as you're getting something out of it, like that's all that matters, really.
Yeah, exactly. So don't ever feel bad for reading slowly or not reading enough books or whatever. Just like it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And honestly, I think the pressure is something that was talked about a lot on BookTube, that people are starting to feel pressure to read certain books or to read a crazy amount of books or even to purchase books to have like the wall behind you. And no to all of it. As Mel said, there's other ways of making content. And if you and I think that everybody finds their own rhythm of what the content is for them that feels good to produce and doesn't feel pressured. We have another question from the Bookworm saying, I'm new to booktubing. Is that a word? I would say it now definitely is, if it wasn't before. What are your favorite videos to film?
Okay, so for me, it is definitely either my 5-star reviews or my 1-star reviews, because there's always the most to say. But I have a couple different series on my channel. So when I do a 5-star read, I do a speed drawing. So I'm an artist. So I'll do a custom. I have a link right here.
The cute.
Do a couple. I do custom bookmarks for them.
Wow.
So I'll record that video and then dub over my review over the drawing. So those are fun. And then when I read a 1-star book, which doesn't happen often, but I had a video that I did earlier this week. I'll rant about it while baking or cooking.
I love that video.
It's so fun. So the first time I ranted, I did pizza, and then this week I ranted and did cake. So it's like I'm beating out my anger into the pizza dough kind of situation. So those are always the most fun for me. Just anything can be creative while talking about it. That thing.
That's cool.
Yeah. I was gonna say I love filming my weekly vlogs, but I feel like I never want to update the vlog. So like during the week, because I've got so much going on, I'm like, I don't like sitting down and filming a clip. So I do like the end result, but like during the week, I find it a struggle. So like, I think videos, I do love my TBR, and I do love my book hauls, just because there's stuff I'm genuinely excited about. Obviously, if I've bought the books, I'm really excited to get to them, talk to them, guys about them. And obviously my TBR is quite fun with it being a little game. Yeah. And I never know what I'm actually going to read, which is quite good because I need to get books off these shelves. So, yeah.
I agree with the what I was going to say then. The whole videos, because you just get so, especially after you've just bought like about 6 books. And you're so excited to read all of them. I love doing those videos. But I also like doing tag videos as well. And I really like watching tag videos. whatever they are. I think there's one like a this or that or something like that. It's really like a quick one, and I love watching that.
Yeah, I agree with most people. I really like my TBRs as well because I have a game as well. So I find that really fun. And I'm really similar to you, Rhiannon. Sorry, Rhiannon. I don't think I'm saying your name right either now. Sorry. I like vlogs, but I don't like making them. Not because I don't like making the vlogs. I'm always like, oh, like I'm doing this thing. Oh, I should vlog it, and it always feels like it's such an extra thing that I have to think about, and I often forget. And then so I like the end result of the vlog, but I don't like doing the vlog.
I feel like, especially at the minute, obviously with lockdowns and stuff, I feel like my vlogs are awful because they're literally me in the exact same spot, saying the exact same things. You know what I mean? And then like a montage of my walk, because I live in quite a nice place, so I can go for walks. It's just like the most boring thing because it's so repetitive, and I'm like, oh, people don't like this, but then again, they get a lot of views, so I'm like, it's like this, but I find it so weird because it's just like literally the same thing just over and over again.
Well, I feel like I'm making vlogs that make people like, oh yeah, that's right, that's what doing, because I live in Tassie, and in Australia we've actually managed to contain COVID really well, and Tassie is like, I'm really fortunate because we actually haven't had a case for like 6 months. So life is normal here. Like I'm behaving the way I would have done this time last year. So yeah, like every time I make a vlog, people are like, oh, that's what that's like. Oh, I forgot. So really, like, maybe I should make more because people are enjoying just seeing normal life. Yeah.
I was going to say, I watch, I don't know if you know her, Kate Literature. So she's from New Zealand, and her vlogs recently have been like her going to the beach and her going out, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, what is life? I've forgotten that we could go to the beach.
Yeah.
All this stuff. I went to like a Shakespeare in the Botanical Gardens a few weeks ago, and I put that in a recent blog, and I had a couple of people being like, oh my God, that's what live performance? What? That's what this? Yeah.
It's so weird, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
I have a question for you all, actually, because we're on the topic of like booktubing in general. Something that I felt like, I love watching tag videos also, and I love being tagged in videos. It's one of my favorite things. I'm like, oh, my heart flutters. Like, oh, they thought of me. That's so nice. But I get so nervous doing them because I feel like I'm always reiterating the same books all the time. So like what I try to do is I'll try to space out the tags so I have enough time. Like, oh, it's been a couple weeks. I've read some more books. Maybe I can like add, that'll be my new answer, But I don't know if anyone else feels the same way, or if you don't mind like just giving the same recommendation all the time.
I think one thing that just popped into my mind recently, which just changed my way of thinking about content. I was talking to a colleague about content creating. He does a very different type of YouTube. And one thing that we think of our posting schedule the way that the videos are posted. So we're saying, okay, if I post this video today and then I'm going to post the same type of video in 2 weeks, there's enough space and time in between them. But very rarely do you have a huge following that actually watches these videos on the day that they're released. So when you start thinking about that people potentially will binge watch your videos, it doesn't matter if you had a day, a week, or a year in between them. They might still have the repetitiveness in them. But it also means that when you go about it with that mindset, it kind of frees you up as well, because you do not need to do a certain time frame in between them. So I think with tags, if you repeat the same book in every tag, then maybe you have to think about if you have enough to choose from. I don't know. But usually you will probably choose them for a certain reason. So each tag, you're choosing the same book, but for a very different reason. It's not that every tag asks you which one is your favorite book. So you're not repeating the same content, even though you're repeating the same book. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I was going to say that. I filmed the tag this morning and I edited it and everything, but I've said it in it like I was just repeating the same 2 books over and over again for each question, because it's like you said, like, what's your favorite book, and then this, and then like, what characters would you have round for tea? And I was like, well, obviously, my favorite book. And I was like, at the end of the video, I was like, I'm so sorry, because I realized how boring it was, me just being like, this book and then this book, and it was just the same thing over and over, and I was like, oh.
My answer to the question about the favorite videos to film, I actually do love filming vlogs, but I stopped because I don't have the time to edit them right now. I want to get to a point where I can afford somebody else editing them for me permanently. I love filming vlogs, especially when I'm traveling, and I hope that I'm going to go back to traveling as soon as everything gets a little bit better, and so looking forward to be traveling for work again. And then I'm also saving the money that I would spend on somebody else editing my vlogs to put into a van that I want to move into in a year, and then I want to vlog again every week. And I find that you really get used to the way you live your life when you're vlogging, because you are, as you said, it's an extra effort. When I go for a hike, if I'm in an especially beautiful spot, I will put the camera down and I will hike this little path twice, so I have footage of me walking. If I step into onto a train or onto a plane, I film my feet, the doors, etc. But it gets so into your DNA. Now that I'm currently not vlogging, it sometimes feels so weird when I'm walking past something, or I'm walking out the door and I'm like, oh, I didn't place the camera to walk out the door. It feels weird now. So currently my favorite things to film are things where I'm trying to work in collaborations of some sort. So the manga recommendation ones where I just used Steph's video, and I have one of the people watching my channel sent me a video of recommending a manga, and I worked that together. And also I'm working on a new series where I buddy read books that are free, and that series will then be a review of 2 people together at sometimes. Sometimes I will just read it alone and review it alone, but sometimes I will have somebody collaborating, joining me on my channel and reviewing it together. And that's just an amazing experience to do reviews together.
Yeah, that sounds really cool.
That sounds fun.
It is.
I'm really sorry, guys, but I actually have to go. I have to go and get my friend. So
amazing meeting you and having you.
Great to meet you.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
So Barbara's having issues subscribing. So I had that before when I'm on my phone, going into the description box, that the links won't open. But after the live was over, or on a laptop, it was no problem at all. But do you guys have your channel name?
Yeah.
So you can find the channel names like this, but yes, they are in the description box, and it will work most likely after the live is over.
Thanks for subscribe as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know which advice you're referring to, but
I think it was what you were saying about how to talk about tags, maybe.
Yeah, the videos and.
Yeah.
Oh, the timing, yeah. Yeah, we talked about my Read With Me's where I do music, and I was talking about I don't want to be too repetitive with the style of music, but I also want to switch it up. And he pretty much said, well, if somebody is looking for a Read With Me with indie pop, which doesn't exist much in the booktube world, and they find your channel, they will most likely not have listened to the first 4 or 5, and they still have enough new content until the next one comes up. So it's just a different kind of thinking. It really changed my way of approaching things. I love travel vlogs. I do too. And I love making them. I consider my vlogs my personal diary, to be honest. It's less content for others. It's more my personal diary. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
I really love doing vlogs. It's
I've never did.
No, go ahead. I was just gonna say, like, it's just
gonna
something funny to look back to a year from now. You know. Oh,
I was just gonna say, I've never done one, but I feel like it'd take a long time to edit. Does it take long to edit? Because it takes me long to edit anyway.
To be fair, I think it does for me, because I do cut out like every single space, like every single breath. I'm like, oh, I don't like that. I'll cut it out. But then other people, they're like, I don't care. If I'm filming a vlog, I just want it to be like how I actually am. So like, I suppose you could go either way, but yeah, they do take quite a lot of time. But that's me as well, because I can't put all my footage onto my laptop at once, because it's like got weird storage issues. So when I edit a vlog, I have to do it in one sitting as well. So that's what takes ages for me. I can't do it in little like bursts here and there. I have to just like import all the footage, get it edited, post it, and then delete it off my laptop, which is a massive faff. But
you need an external hard drive.
Yeah, I know. I did have one. My old laptop broke, so most of my stuff from the old laptop is on that. So it's just
with the editing software, sometimes if I have everything on the external hard drive, it doesn't work as well. So I need to move everything that I'm currently working on to my hard drive, and then I'll move it back onto the external hard drive for safekeeping, although you can delete it. You don't need it. So I think it depends on the time you need to edit. It depends on what your vlog will be focusing on. If you would just give reading updates and maybe throw some images of you reading in there, and you just have a few clips of you speaking into the camera about the book, you can probably do it with very little effort. When I do vlogs, I tend to want to have my whole life in them. I have my cooking in them. I have my hikes in them, my traveling, my going to work, my Korean classes, and all of this combined, especially because I love them most when I'm traveling, is a lot of editing. Yeah, and I'm not satisfied with the level of quality still.
No, I'm like that. But to be fair, looking back at like when I first revived my channel, because like I did start posting like 3 years ago and then stopped, but I started back in May last year, and oh my gosh, I rewatched one of my vlogs the other day just to see, because you know, you thought like, oh, I feel like I've been a bit better. Wow, those vlogs are absolutely awful. Like, they're the worst quality. I'm just sat there for ages being like like this one, like, oh my god, where's the cuts? Like, what are you doing? And it's like, it's the most awful thing. But I love looking back at it though, because like you say, it's like your own little diary. And I'm like, oh, I was feeling great then, and like that's when I read this book and I loved it. And yeah, it's just such a nice thing to be able to look back on it. But yeah, I just hate to get back.
On the topic of looking back, did you guys ever think about potentially your kids one day having that of you, your grandkids of you, like having that? And I mean, just thinking about it, I would love to see my grandma's vlogs.
I feel like they'd be thinking so hard though. They'd be like, oh, why did she say that? Oh, why is she wearing that?
Yeah, that's my son. But I think grandkids, I think I would love to see my grandma in her younger years doing vlogs and stuff. That would be awesome.
YouTube will still be a thing when we're like,
hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, who knows? But I'm assuming that somehow the content will still be alive, similarly to how there's pictures of my grandparents and this kind of stuff. So somehow the content will be alive. Interesting enough, I watched some of my first vlogs. I did daily vlogs in my first couple of weeks of Booktube for a readathon, and I watched them just, I think, 2 days ago, and I was like, damn, those were better than what I'm doing now with the vlogs, because back then I edited them myself, and I said, as I said, I don't have the time to edit the full week vlogs right now, so I have other people that I pay for doing them, and they are just not doing it fully like I wanted to. But I still don't have the time to do it myself. So
I get that. I feel like my biggest struggle with vlogs is that I get so caught up in, because I'm kind of the same as Cece, where like I'll put in like my thoughts and then a clip of like cooking and then my thoughts and then a clip of something else, you know what I mean? So I get so caught up in the in-between shots of, oh, this would be cool and this meal is nice and shopping is cool, that by the time I'm done, I'm like, oh, I forgot to update. What was I thinking? I finished the book. Oh no, there's nothing to say.
And then I feel like I'm really bad at sitting down and like rambling for like 20 minutes. And then I'm like, the vlog needs to be 20 minutes long. I don't want it to be like an hour-long vlog. And then I'm there being like, but I've done 3 clips that are all about 20 minutes long. Plus I've got like little montage footage. Like, how do I cut this down? And then I end up just posting like a 40-minute vlog. And I'm like, oh, why am I doing this?
I think somewhere between 30 and 50 minutes is still a weekly vlog that I watch. So I think you're fine with 40. And one thing that changed the timing for me as well a lot was to stop thinking that montage and me talking into the camera about the book need to be separate. Nobody needs to watch me talking to the camera for 20 minutes when I have a montage that I can show while I'm talking.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took me, a little over a year to get to that revelation of why don't I, like, for example, when you show the images of the beautiful area where you're hiking, where I will one day come to visit and hike because it's so beautiful. I love to look at these images when I'm listening to you talk about the book that you've read. Makes total sense to me, but I never thought of it.
Yeah, I've never thought of it, to be fair. I always just put like loads of music on and have like, because I won't update for like 2 days and then I'll be like, oh, I've got a lot to say, I better sit down and like share my thoughts. But then in those 2 days I've been doing stuff, so like I've been doing sprints, I've got clips of me walking or whatever, and I put those all just to fill the space, because I'm like, you don't want to be listening to my voice for like the whole time. You need something to like give you a break.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never thought of that, but I don't know if I'm a skilled enough editor to do that, because I'm like not good with stuff like that.
Well, you can learn that easily, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. There should be a way to detach the audio, and then you can just like shorten the visual clip and then drag over the montage.
Can you do layers? Like, can you have 2 clips at the same time? Then you don't even need to split them.
Yeah, I think so. That's how I do my TBR anyway. I just move stuff around and, like you say, cut it and, have a play with it. So yeah, that's definitely something I need to think about. That would be cool.
But I do think that we desperately need to do some reading, because we're talking too much, and my book is too good to be left unread. You're still with us, yes, Rhiannon?
Yeah, I will do one more sprint, I think, because it's a bit late, but I feel fine.
Yeah, I think I'd do one more as well.
Sounds good. So how long would be good for you?
I don't want to leave you guys.
It's fine. I mean, I did say only 3 to 4 hours maximum today anyways, because tomorrow is going to be my long sprinting day anyways. And I don't think that every Sunday evening needs to be a long sprinting day. So how long would you want to sprint for if it's your last one?
I don't mind. I'm not sure if I'll actually finish this book tonight. I'm trying to see how many pages it is. I've got like 55 pages left. And I feel like this is going to be action-packed as well. So I was doing like 35 pages in the last sprints. So it's up to you.
So you guys want to do another 30 minutes? Or do you want to do longer?
I think 30 minutes is good.
30 minutes, okay.
I'm very indecisive. I'm like, yeah, whatever you want.
I'm actually getting quite hungry. It's almost dinner time, so.
Okay, awesome. Then we'll read for another 30 minutes, and happy reading. And that was our last sprint. Oh, I don't even want to stop. I did not expect it to be that good. It's like, ugh. What I love about sci-fi a lot is that a lot of them make sociological, economical, social commentary in their books. That's one of the things that I love about Star Trek a lot as well, because I feel like every episode is commenting on some dynamics in real life, and Star Trek was always very progressive for that. Mm-hmm. And I feel like this book is doing the same. Every other chapter is hitting some topic, from like being different, being weird, there's so much in here, and I'm only like 200 pages in, like, oh my god, where's this gonna go? Yeah, this is gonna be one of my favorites. I know that already. The joy of reading a favorite.
Mine started to pick up too. I'm kind of like, I don't want to stop, but I'm hungry, but I don't want to stop. So it's getting good.
Oh, good. I literally have 7 pages left.
Oh no!
I will definitely sit down now and just finish the book out, because that would be good.
Yeah. I finished mine.
Yay!
What?
Yay!
Yeah, I finished part 1. Yeah, I only had about 20 pages left, and the end of it, the acknowledgements were like 5 pages, and then there's like a glossary that's like 3 pages long, which I didn't know. So yeah, obviously I skipped over all of that bit, but yeah, I finished it. So there was a really good twist at the end that I wasn't expecting, so that was good, because I was expecting something else. Which I'm still kind of expecting to happen in the sequel, but we'll see. But yeah, that other twist I didn't see coming, so that's always good when that happens. Yes, I've started reading the next one now.
Straight back.
Yeah, when I'm reading a series, I just go straight into the next one, because otherwise I forget. I think when I read Red Queen, and then it was like a few months until the next one, and then I had to read Red Queen again to read the next one. So yeah, I just go straight into it if I can.
Do that. If I have the series, I will binge it. But that's the thing with me, where like, yeah, I read it's Red Queen, isn't it? Yeah, I read that when I sort of first heard about it, and then the second book I didn't have yet, and so I waited a few months. And then by that point, I was like, oh, no, I'm not keen. Because I started it and I was like, oh, I've forgotten a lot of things. And then I still got the third book. So I've got like 3 out of the 4 books. I just haven't read them. But now I'm like, do I want to go back and like try it?
Yeah.
I think with Red Queen, it's a big hit or miss. I love the series, but I love a very specific part of fantasy. And I know that a lot of people didn't like it as much because they probably didn't like what I like. And I do feel like the vibe of the series changes a little bit over time. I feel like the first one, it feels very typical dystopian, kind of cliche-ish, hitting some tropes, and it gets a lot more political over the course of the series, and I fell in love with the series a lot more as it progressed, whereas other people who like the dystopian tropey one would be like,
I like the first book and then hated the rest. So yeah,
I enjoyed the first book. I like the plot twist and how everything sort of happened. From what I can remember, it was quite interesting. But yeah, like you said, the dystopian thing, I'm still not sure if I'm keen on. Like, I've read a couple of them where I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if it's because it's a dystopian, it's quite predictable and where it's going to go. But I'm just not too sure. But I've got, like I say, so I might just sit down one weekend and just like power through.
If you enjoy the politics of Game of Thrones, you might enjoy where this is going, because I feel like it's going into this political between houses kind of a thing, and that's what I loved about it. And I also loved that in the, I don't know if it's in the second or third book, we have a view introduced of a character that you might not have expected to be introduced, because you're just used to having all the heroes that you're following, and then you're like, oh, this is like from another side. Now you're seeing the villain's side, kind of. And that just made it a lot more complex for me, and that's when I started really loving it.
Oh, okay. I might have to go back to that then.
It's not for everyone. It definitely is not for everyone.
Yeah.
So I've never read this series. Is it adult or young adult?
Young adults.
Young adult.
Okay.
Yeah, but it came out a while ago, didn't it? Because I remember it was 4 or 5 years ago when I read the first book. It was a while ago.
I don't even know when mine is.
Yeah, objectively, it's probably not the best, and I do understand why some people don't like it. I loved it because I do enjoy the tropes that it was following, and it's similar to like a rom-com. You know what's going to happen in a rom-com, but you're still going to sit through it if you are intentionally saying, I want to watch a rom-com today. And that's my same approach with when I started reading The Red Queen. But then with the following books, when it became more political and everything, then I really enjoyed it a lot more. But I totally understand how people who don't want to go into that direction were turned off by it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, isn't it? If you're reviewing, as long as you say, like, I liked it, but maybe people don't. But now I'm more interested. I'm like, ooh.
I did like the different perspectives of everything. I do like that in books.
Yeah, I like that. I feel like the story moves on a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, I might have to try it now.
All right. I think we're coming to an end of the live stream. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I loved having a little bit of change of people coming together that didn't all already knew each other, but it felt like a really fun group to hang out with. I hope that next time I'm doing something on my channel that we're going to do a little bit better with chatting less, reading more. That's always a learning curve, I feel like.
I like that on mine as well. I always chat for way too long, and then people are like, are we actually sprinting today? And I'm like, this is a reading sprint.
Yeah. It's a learning curve. And I think the more people are on a live, the harder it gets. So learning curve definitely. But thanks again for joining me. And for everybody who's still watching, if you haven't been able to go subscribe to everybody yet, do that right after the sprint before you forget, and check out the awesome videos that we talked about. And I hope to see you again on my channel soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.